Right, though. Let me just put this. My name is Dunkels, a researcher at Swedish Institute of Computer Science, and the reason I'm here today is really because of a summer assignment job that I had back in 1998, working at Datacentralen, Luleå Universitet, with Börje Josefsson. We got together this fall at dagarna, and Börje asked me if I'd come here today and give a talk on what I think is the next digital revolution. So, this is something that's going to be a much larger revolution than what we've had as digital revolutions so far, but also much smaller. So you may have seen some of the headlines lately. This one, the Business Week magazine, saying that Ericsson, the mobile telephone, sees a future where 50 billion devices will be connected by the year 2020. That's 50 billion. That's about 8 times the population of Earth. 10 years, and this is way more than cell phones, because we don't have cell phones on our pockets running around, but something much larger, and it's what they call the Internet of Things. They aren't alone in this, Ericsson. We see the same type of prediction from Cisco. Cisco says that the smart grid, which is the next generation electrical power grid, will be 1,000 times the size of the current internet. Now, these are, of course, predictions coming from people who do want to sell routers. In case, Cisco, if they want to 1,000 times the routers they sold so far, they want to sell stations for mobile telephony, 50 billion times the today. But still, they point towards the future where we have a large number of connected devices, much larger than we have today. So what's the technology that makes this possible? This huge, immense network of the future? Well, it's something very, very small. Something like this. This picture shows tiny devices comprised of a real controller and a sensor. Everyone here to see what size this is in real life. So this is a stamp size thing or smaller. These are what we call the Internet of Things. Connected devices that can talk to each other, can sense the physical environment which they're in, and can affect the physical environment through some kind of actuation process. For instance, you can do anything from switching off an engine or a fan or the conditioning in a room like this, down to just making a deer like that. So this kind of technology is being used. We're seeing this. It's being used increasingly already now. So here's one example. This is a project that we are doing together with the Marine Sciences Institute in North Sweden. We have 3 Marine Science Institutes. We're covering parts of our line. So this is together with the northernmost of that. We're putting out buoys in the Baltic Sea to monitor things like saltness, temperature, and I think also oxygen levels. So the idea is to put buoys like this, have sensors that go down into the water, that pull up some of the water or whatever they found there, up to the buoy that transmits data that is sent over a GPS network back home, so we can monitor this in real time. Today, the Marine Sciences Institutes, they do this monitoring, but do it twice a year. Go out with a boat, it has a little summary that is kind of size like this, with 3 or 4 just that fill out water as it goes on, take home and analyze the water. They just very often, of course, because of a lot of money. Using like this, you can have it in real time. They can see what is going on out in the sea, real time. Another example of the same kind of technology where we're using communication in a different setting is the project that we have with ABB. ABB produces machinery and robots and stuff that move, vibrate, and break. The problem is that normally we don't know when it's going to break, so we have to fix stuff after it breaks. But together with ABB and 6, we're putting vibration sensors on these machines. The vibration sensors are able to look at the actual vibration of this machinery and see if there's a change pattern. If it's a change in pattern, it might mean that the machine is about to break, so we can fix it before it breaks. And the action is looking in breaches of the actual reaction is going to happen. Another example of the same kind of technology where we use physical sensing communication but for a different purpose is a project that we are working together with the Art Gallery Lillevalchs in Stockholm. There is a spring exhibition every year at Lillevalchs, and we're there this year to have sense placed out to the Art Gallery and analyze that every visitor or the visitors that like to participate in this, would walk around this exhibition area. We could track where they were. They could leave traces out there seeing other visitors, their friends coming the other day after them. So again, communication, sensing, and in a physical environment in a very different setting, but the technology. Here is an example of this technology in a completely different setting. It's about container monitoring. We might think that our IT-connected world, trade and business is being done over the internet, but in fact, a lot of this stuff is physical goods being transported back and forth. That's where the containers that are. I'm not sure how many percent of the actual all goods that are transported over Earth are in a container like this, but I think it's around 10 to 20% at least are in a container. There are these 83 million containers like this all over the world at transit every day. This little black thing that you see right through at the there, that container locking device And it's also both ways to keep the locked and keep track of if anyone trying to pull up this rope. Can monitor the conditions inside the container, can look at the temperature, can look at humidity, can look at toxic gas in, and report this information in real time to the owner of the goods stored inside the container, so they can see this wherever they are. So again, this technology in a very different setting. Here's another example. This is a company called Magic from Cambridge, Massachusetts, that have developed a system for tracking tools by service companies that go out and see something. They go out to the truck, they take their tools in the truck of the truck, but it's pretty difficult to just track all these tools because the tools are different from every go. So this system automatically keeps track of all these tools. The physical tools they put in your car, you can see them on screen as by the driver seat. So you can map this with your database of service assignments, know exactly if you're on the right track, the right tools, if you need to fill up or use them. Again, same kind of technology where you interact with the physical world and the digital at a very setting. Smart is another example. This is very huge, particularly the United States of America now, where they're planning the upgrade of the power grid, which from what I hear is a very bad need of such an upgrade. There is every electric device keep track of its own power need and their own power consumption, communicates information back to the utility company that produces this electrical power, so they can balance themselves. They can let the devices themselves know what cost of the energy is right now, so you can say, okay, we postpone this, whatever we're doing, the cost of downstream. We have a washing machine that may overnight, for instance. This is what Cisco sees as 1,000 times the size of the internet. Every electrically connected device will be connected using a digital communication device as well. It is a fact that we are moving increasingly towards cities, and cities have their problems because of this. So this technology, this Internet of Things technology, cannot be used to relieve the kind of problems we have in cities. This is an example from San Francisco, where they have got these sensors, magnetic sensors in the streets. They keep track of if there's a large lump of metal right next to this hopefully car, and then they see that, okay, this parking space right here is occupied, and this parking space right there is not occupied. So put this information back to a database that is connected to a Google Maps, a view of this or GPS device, where you can actually see in your car where there are free parking spots. And this way, you not only save fuel, but also alleviate a lot of humans just running around trying to figure out that those parking spots. It's very big in China, where they have large cities and ever-growing cities. This technology is seen as extension of Bell's law. The Gordon Bell's law of computer classes that was formulated back in the 70s, saying that every decade roughly we see a new computing shift in computer classes, the kinds that we see. If we're looking back at these, we can see that the decade when we saw the PC revolution. Instead of having computers being locked away in some big computer room, we actually had computers on our desks by the end of the 80s. We could actually see the computers as something we worked with on our desks. In the 90s, we connected most of these computers together to the internet and later to the web. So we can see the 90s as the internet revolution, and the first decade of the 21st century as the mobile revolution. We suddenly can be connected to anyone from anywhere. It used to be that you somewhere on a trip to another country, and you have to find your hotel room and to take your hotel phone and call home and say, I'm here now, it's the hotel, so please call back because this costs so much for make this call. And now, we pull out our phones when we get off the airplane, and we're just connected that or back home. This is really transformed the way we think of connectivity to the first half of the century. And what is the next step in this revolution is this things, where we don't just connect everybody, but really everything to other things and also to ourselves. And looking back at similar development in history, we see that we tend to think of computers as a central object. We have a laptops right here, and we all work with computers, so we see computer as the thing. And this is the way it was with motors back in the ago. This is an ad for the home motor from mail-order catalog. You can actually go and buy a motor that you place in your home, centrally, yes. You would connect your sewing machine to this, and where you were using the machine, you could have your mixer connected to this. So you could imagine people around this great motor at home. That's come and see motor. Nowadays we don't see motors. We have motors everywhere. We think of these motors. Well, the motor can use the primer. It's not like that anymore. This is exactly what's happening now in computers. In fact, I think the iPhone is probably what killed computers as a concept. We're just as killed with an iPhone or the Android as we were with a laptop. As we were with a laptop, we're starting to see this moving. I don't know, 100 years from now, someone will show something like this and say, yeah, we bought this personal computer and have it home. So this is the kind of technology shift where technology goes from being something central that we really as the thing, just moves to the surroundings, we don't see them anymore. So what are the key concepts of Internet of Things? Well, first off, we're looking at something that is wireless, mostly wireless at least. If we're going to put up these servers in the streets to monitor parking lots, wires between, we could get wire and put a sensor. It wouldn't be very economically viable to have this. It would be all this. Yeah, it's mostly wireless. There are places where we have wires such as power lines used for communication, but mostly wireless. Looking at something that is very low power. If we have sensors in our streets, in booths, in water, or in our house, or anywhere, we have to either, if we are having them battery powered, they have to have a very low power consumption because we can't really run around recharging these batteries, and we can't replace batteries either because they may be a roof like this. So they have to be very low power. Also, if we have a power source that is renewable, like a solar cell or vibration sensor, or device that generates electricity from vibrations, these aren't very high power cars. They give very low powers. We have a very low power requirement here. Also, low cost. We don't see these devices costing like a cell phone or a laptop, but have something way less than that. In fact, the development in the electronics industry are pushing prices way down. Looking at something very large scale, 1,000 times the size of the internet, or 50 billion devices, or if we don't reach that, even if we reach 1/10 of that, that's to be something of a much larger scale what we have in building so far. Mankind has built. It's really about bridging the digital and physical world. So looking at what we need to build this, what the technology that we build this on. Well, low cost, low power, low complexity. Interoperability is very important. We need something that is not just tied to a particular device manufacturer or a particular application area, but really like something that is interoperable. Also, I'd like to be able to use the equipment that we have already, like the internet. Again, something simple and open, like the internet, where we can use the knowledge that is out there. We have a lot of people that know how the internet works. If we can apply this knowledge, this technology, we would be really happy because we can start a company just hire people that know this already. Finally, and most importantly, whatever we do, we must be open to future development because we can't know today where we're going. We can look or think where we're going, but we don't know what this is. Looking at what we have something that really fits this already. It's all the Internet Protocol. We have built one of the largest systems that mankind built using the Internet Protocol, the global public internet. It's been pretty well tested over the past few years. It's been shown to be able to sustain this kind of technology change that we want. Back in the 80s or 70s, we didn't really use the internet with YouTube or Facebook or Skype or Adobe Connect, but Telnet session or FTP, something different. But still, we're in pretty much the same way as we were used to. But so what's the problem with this? Why don't we just use IP? Well, there are some pretty good reasons why not use IP for this technology. And the reason that we have very strange sources. We have low power requirements, battery power devices, we have these low cost devices, we have these tiny physical devices that need to be much smaller than a cell phone or a laptop. So I use, it's kind of large, it seems that, put it on our in Linux, it's kind of, requires a pretty large Linux machine or Windows or whatever. Looking at the power consumption of like a laptop, which assumes 20 watts or more, it's not going to last on small batteries for a very long time. So IP is considered something very large power hungry. Because if you look at the specifics of the devices that we are building this Internet of Things with, we see the low power requirement. The power requirement is on the order of less than 1 milliwatt, which is less than 1,000th of the power requirement of a laptop. We have a laptop, we can feel it warm. It's pretty much warm as a small light bulb or something. So 20, 30, 40 watts is pretty common working power for a laptop. We're looking at something way smaller than that. Memory requirements. We have the low physical, we constrain the physical size and cost. We don't have so much memory. We have something like 10 kilobytes of RAM, perhaps 100 kilobytes of RAM. So we're looking at something that is very small. So is it large? Is the question to ask ourselves. And in fact, it turns out that it is not so large. It turns out that we can do it in a very constrained environment, but still have a full IP activity. So this is where I came into this. Here's where I started. We had a project at Lulu University where I did my master's thesis, where we put these sensors and eye socket players in Lockheed. They had a pulse sensor runs like this, and they had a reading sensor up their nose. Very convenient for them, and the camera on the helmet. So you could actually track the camera using an iPack, which was coolest at the time. This 10 years ago. You can the physical stats of the players on this iPack. You can also see the video feed from the cameras on. I'm not sure if I have the iPad, but the laptop could use it. We also thought of having a microphone to the players, but really didn't want that. I think they rather prefer this their nose rather than this microphone. We ran this technically successfully. This worked, but I think the game that was played, he lost it 4 goals to 1. Brynäs, I don't hear. So my part was doing the communication software for the series. This used Bluetooth, which was cool. I looked at if we could use IP, and it turns out that so I developed this software later in 2001. This 1 year after this project, released Micro IP, which was the world's smallest IP stack at the time. By using this bottom-up approach, different type of way of designing this, it's easy down to very tiny memory size, 6 kilobytes of RAM, 1 kilobyte RAM. That's what there is in terms of email messages, but it's 2 or 3 messages or something. Really showing that IP isn't large at all. The software subsequently was published as open source. Now it's really widely used in all kinds of devices, ranging from airplane, the BMW M-Series car engine that has software running inside it, and the container security device, and really all sorts of things. This really convinced me that this Internet of Things and using IP protocol is the future. Seeing this software being used. So the secret really lies in design. Doing this bottom up, you can program it from the device tracker and upwards instead of the application layer downwards. But we gain in memory size, we sacrifice throughput. So device slice, well, this tiny movements, we can't send much data because of the design of this IP stack. That's okay in most cases. If we don't have data, I know every device itself has only a very small amount of data to send. And in fact, the ability to communicate is much more important than the actual performance of this communication. So this is the most extreme example that I know of from personal experience. I was sitting around one day with this TCP stack trying to see how far I could squeeze the memory usage by just moving everything and just really stripping it down to the absolute minimum. I can make it run about 100 bytes of RAM, which is less than a tweet, less than an S, and you could make it run terribly slow. Because that's where the trade-off is, small and slow. So I figured, this was really cool. I was happy for myself. And I also saw that no one in their right mind would probably ever use this tiny configuration because it's so slow. Very surprisingly, when this email popped up in my box, these guys, Pumpkin Incorporated, saying that we built these satellites. They're 10 meters. They weigh a kilo, picolites. People use for things like looking at the magnetic field of Earth to see things for the Earth. So they shot in a thing that looked like a big refrigerator right there. It popped out as a girl, or which is one of the orbs on Earth. They built the device, and they were really happy. They said, we need some way to communicate with Earth using IP because we would like to have this protocol because we have it all the way down to Earth. Everywhere on Earth we have it, so we really have it in these boxes too. We were so happy because we tried your micro IP and we were able to squeeze it down 128 of RAM. So they also done this very squeezing down of this software. And so I asked them, do you have problems with performance? Well, performance is so much an issue because we have slow microwaving to the satellites anyway. We don't have much data, we just send some configuration on that. But the ability to communicate with them using IP was so much more important than the actual performance. Of course, it can squeeze this performance even more, use some kind of specialized protocol, not IP. They really want to have IP because they saw this as the ability to communicate being important. And this really convinced me also that this IP for these tiny devices, even if it takes some resources and perhaps there's some issues throughput and performance, but the actual ability to communicate is so important that we want to use this anyway. So seeing this use of the micro IP stack, me and a group of other developers came together to develop Kentucky operating system, which is an operating system for tiny devices that is built around this micro IP stack. Adds a number of stuff like scheduling, simulating environment, storage system, and a lot of things around that is needed to make us more than things and what we might normally do with an IP endpoint. So open source release in 2003, very lightweight, still very active, increasingly active developed since then, 7 years old now, by people that's, and also companies like SAP, Cisco, smaller companies like SUNET, niche company, and large and others. This is about seeing this system research and so looking at how to build something like this, how to learn on building blocks, and also seeing it turning out as running code that we can use. So one of the technical difficulties is that we have these low power requirements. And looking at a typical device like this, very powerful. It turns out that also to the communications, well, at least if we don't have a very expensive sensor like sound sensor or something, then communication is the main power consumer. And it turns out that in most cases, the power needed to receive or listen to messages is just as high as the power needed to transmit messages. So this means that whenever we can't just stop talking, we need to stop listening. If we have a very long lifetime, we just to not just talk, also not listen. So there are two power radio types for Wi-Fi, which is ubiquitous, we have it everywhere, it has pretty high power consumption, 500 milliwatts, which is pretty far away from the less than 1 milliwatt. So we may not be able to use Wi-Fi in all these cases. Fortunately, there is something else called, it has a terrible name, it's called IEEE 802.15.4. It should have a more catchy name like Wi-Fi. Maybe that is the point, but so far it is a combination of letters and numbers. It has much lower consumption, 60 milliwatts, and also much lower power consumption sleep mode, but the range is less. So we're talking about 4 meters in 100 meters outdoors compared to Wi-Fi, which is way further. So the problem is, if we need to off the radio, not listen, how do we do this multi-hop? How do we get from one end of this room to the other end of this room, which may be too long for a single transmission, somewhere in the middle? It has this radio off. This has been an active research topic for many years, and it turns out that this way is really perhaps not the most efficient, really efficient. And the way to do is this: we keep the radio off the time. We go online every now and then, so roughly, let's say every once a second or 10 times per second, something like that. Regularly go up and listen for really time, most of the time. To send a packet, we send a number of probes like this until we get an back to the receiver saying that, okay, I saw this message from you, and I'm alive now, so if you could please send your data, I'm listening. And we can get the actual data packet that we want to send. The next time around, we don't need to send so many of these probes because we know that this guy was awake at this, it has schedules, we can calculate next time, so just hit right in the wake time there, so it gets the data right away. And doing it this way, we can have a very, very low power consumption. So this is experimental data from one of these devices, where on the x-axis with the number of packets per second that we send, on the y-axis we have the time we keep the radio off. So for 0 packets per second, we are way down below 1%, which translates into power consumption of something like 0.6 or 0.5 milliwatts less. And I go up, still keep below this milliwatt. But the problem is that the more packets we send, the more data we send, the more power we spend. And in IP, we have these errors, right? Especially if we're looking at something like IPv6. And if we don't have much data to send, what do we do with headers? Well, it's really not that hard, because we can very efficiently use header compression to reduce the amount of data that we send in every packet. We only send the stuff that we know the other guy knows, basically. All the stuff that is in this header that everybody knows already, we don't send out. We send one that's saying, okay, so this is whatever you already know, so we send the stuff that's new. In many cases, it means we can reduce the header overhead from 48 bytes to just a few bytes in the common case. So, yeah, we saw that IP was pretty small. It isn't so power hungry as we may have thought. It's really used only very little power. So, seeing this, and we're the only ones that see this, seeing this IP really is doable, we created this IP for Smart Objects Alliance in September 2000, together with companies like Cisco, Sun, number of universities. We have Luleå right there. We have AI Systems, also Swedish company, and Google and later. So a number of these, both large and small companies, universities behind this. And in fact, we're happy to see that on November 2008, we're actually listed by the Time magazine on the most important innovations of 2008. And this is, of course, we think this is very, we're happy about this. It also shows what this technology is heading, because the editors of Time magazine sees that their readership is able to understand what this means. Internet of Things, and there is this poster with the mouse. It's able to understand this and see that this is something important. It means that the technology is as well as mainstream acceptance, which is more important than us getting mentioned in Time magazine. So looking at IP for the Internet of Things, what do we? Well, number one, we're not talking about any IP. We're really about IPv6. If we're building this technology, things to be placed up there for 10 years on battery or whatever, and we're putting out 50 billion of them, it's not so bad to have these 2 raised to the power on 20 addresses available for us. Although, we've been saying for 150 that the IPv4 address is running out. It never seems to do so, right? It's not good to build a technology that's going to last for 10 years unattended on IPv4. Even if it may not run out in 10 years, we're not sure. But also other things are good. We have auto configuration. We have support for routers is better than for IPv4. And in fact, the header compression reduces much of the overhead that we have in IPv6 anyway. So in 2008, we also demonstrated together with Cisco and ML that we could do a lightweight IPv6 endpoint. This is the IPv6 extension of the IPv6, showing that we need something like 11 kilobytes of code, 2K RAM, to make an IPv6 endpoint that fulfills all the requirements of this IPv6 checklist. And we're not the only ones that have done this, but others have too. Meaning that IP is the way to go. What about the application layer? What do we do there? It is an open question. It should be an open question. It should always be an open question, because that's where this support for innovation is able to take place. If we lock down this whole thing, we can't really make use of whatever we come up with 10 years if everything is really locked down. We need to keep this open. But what we do have in the IP stack is using TCP that we can use, of course, for this. So just one example here of what we have been with this is here's two photos from a demo that we showed a few weeks ago at a conference in Stockholm, where we have a Google Android phone with a software that recognizes a small tag. Like there, because that's the tag that this cell phone would recognize. And as it saw the tag, the cell phone camera seeing this tag, database looked up tag and that this tag represented an IP address. And the IP address was a sensor, a physical sensor lying right next to the tag that had a small REST web service so that the Android phone could go out and get the temperature data from the sensor using only a regular HTTP GET request. So we're actually connected over internet in this case. And display this information 3D display on top of the camera feeds. You can actually use your phone window to see this 3D display on top of your tag. Augmented reality. So the real power of this, what this shows is the part of using IP and use HTTP, use these things, because we build this Android client in a very short amount of time, just using a regular third-party off-the-shelf software for doing an HTTP GET. We didn't have to have any special software running on the Android phone. So this represents what we may see in the future, where we have devices connected over IP, answering requests from the outer world. Here's another example where we had a system running building energy management system, looking at temperature, and even in this case we didn't control anything. The idea is that we can control in building to monitor the energy expenditure. We have this connected over a network, a VPN, tunnel over a network with a remote server that connects directly to the individual sensors and actuators in this building without any intermediate buses or proxies. So this is the technology we're building. What's the next step? What's the real thing here? Well, the real thing is that we must find a way for people to develop software on top of the system, because that's where, looking at in the world that looks at the past 20 years, we see that it is in software that is driven development, really. With software, we can do some more than what we can do with hardware. We need to rebuild stuff which is high on our own. So connecting the physical data in the digital world, software is the key that you're here. Solution. What I've been thinking about here today is the next step for the Internet Protocol for IP, the Smart Objects Internet of Things, or any of the many names that this technology has. It is a way to use the physical world in our digital world to use the Internet Protocol end-to-end. And the way to go to this is through low-power hardware, controlled by low-power software and Gen node, but really providing data from the physical world to developers that can do something with this and build existing applications in a way that we cannot really predict at this point, but let's see in 10 years from now how to transform the world. So I'd just like to thank you for your attention, and you can point to the Tiki website, which has the actual source code for all if you want to have a look at what it looks like. And I've written it together with a paper called Interconnecting Subjects Will Be the Next Internet, which is to be up in July this year. You can at this website, nextinternet.org. So again, thank you for your attention, and if you have any questions, please. So the question is, how sensitive are the devices to their environment, extreme temperatures and electromagnetic field stuff? Well, it very much depends on packaging and how to. So, for instance, we have industrial environments where we have a project together with an oil refinery where we can't put Wi-Fi antennas on these because normal Wi-Fi because that's not. There's so much in 2 months they're gone. So the package is in a way that's very heavy and can stay in a rough environment like that. But and also other examples where I've seen putting this on train wheels, boogie, where they're spinning. They're so fast that they had to enclose the electronics in like a soft plastic mold that allowed to jump around a bit. So if they pass the glue, it would break because it's so fast. So the actual chips break inside chips. So it very much depends. Another example was the Swedish company that had used building military sensors. This CEO was talking about the kind of that they would break. So a report from one customer saying it doesn't work, nothing works. So in case it would be that the antenna had broke off inside, and the other case would be perhaps there was a bug or interrupt fiber or anything. And the third case, it just couldn't figure out, it was just completely attacked. And they opened up, it was just nothing inside it, everything was broken inside this really hard box. So I was what have you done? Well, it turned out that they used this jammer to put it into the boom. That didn't work. So after a very different operating conditions. Yeah. Yes, the question about authorization and use of them. Well, that's one of the hard questions: is how to make secure, and how to know who should access the data. And that's the question that goes far beyond just the technology. It's also how to use the data. Now, who owns the data we put from the Baltic Sea? That's supposed to, or that takes it, that owns it, the government that owns it, or who owns the data? It's partly a technical question of how to authorize access to it, and also how to handle the legal issue. But for the technical side of things, we do have things like encryption protocols that we can, or encryption algorithms in hardware that we can use to build protocols for doing authentication, at least for the data that we get from the devices themselves. And the question of data is upwards is another question.
I was thinking more like due to the new way to authorization, where you made models proximity to the device,
right.
Things like that you can.
Yeah. Okay. So the follow-up question is, I think Bluetooth introduced a new way of having with proximity. Yeah, I've seen stuff like that also. You can use ultra-wideband, for instance, which is a communication technique that uses a very broad signal that's transmitted in a very short amount of time. So you can measure the time it takes for this signal to be transmitted to reach its destination, because signal is very short. You don't have bounces, so you can actually measure time of flight, which means that you have a pretty of the physical distance to whatever it is you're communicating with. So you don't have an area where you're safe to communicate, because you know the distance in this area. If you're outside the area, don't sing, because this is bad. It has another authentication mechanism is to use sensors. You have devices that have sensors like this. You see that at the same sensor data you have physically the thing with it. You can authenticate your suit like that. So there are these using this way to do this. Yeah. All right. Thank you.